I've just picked up the brand new GFX100, Fujifilm's 102 megapixel medium format camera. Now I've got this for a little while to do some tests, and before we meet up with a photographer a little bit later this afternoon to do some shooting, I'm going to go out in this park and just do some handheld stuff to get used to the body itself. Now normally with 102 megapixels I'd be carrying a tripod around, but one of the best things about the GFX100 is that it has 5-axis image stabilization in the body, and that gives you 5.5 stops of stabilization. So I'm going to go out handheld and see how we get on. So I'm starting off with the first shot using the 32 to 64 f4. So there's a shot here with sort of a little copse of trees here, another one there, and then a line of trees in the background. I'm just going to shoot that and just see what sort of separation we get at f4 there. I've stopped the shutter speed up quite a lot just because obviously the tree's moving quite a bit. 102 megapixel will pick up everything. But I've put the ISO up at like 500. This has an ISO range of 100 to 12,800 native, and it goes up to 102,400 extended. So it's a pretty good ISO range. I mean, honestly, I don't think a lot of people will be using it more than that just because of the type of camera it is. But things like ISO 500, doesn't matter, you don't notice the thing. I'm just setting up for this next shot here, the most boring shot in the world, but perfect for the test that I want to do. So we've got this nice dark tree line, we've got this middly light grass, and then this hugely bright sky, which does have a little bit of detail in it, which is great, because that's what I want to keep. So I'm just setting up my shot, and I can use the onboard histogram that's on this top LCD screen. And as I adjust the shutter speed and ISO, you can see that move, so I can get a good idea of where my shot is, make sure I'm not peeking either side. The heavens have just opened. It's really heavily raining, but that doesn't matter for the camera, just us, because the camera itself is massively weather sealed. The lenses are weather sealed. It's got 95 points of weather sealing on this. And when I said to Fuji, yeah, but is it actually going to be all right in the rain? And the response was, well, it went up Everest 2 weeks ago, so I'm sure it'll be fine. So I'm not too worried about it. Well, that was short-lived. I tried to quickly run over to get some pictures of the rain in this puddle, but it went from being an absolute torrential downpour to nothing in about 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do now is I've got the 250mm on. Might just quickly change to the 120. I know there's some flowers over there, so I might just try and get some of those raindrops on those nice pretty flowers. Well, they're not the prettiest flowers, but the images do look really, really cool. The 120 is a macro, so I can get nice and close in. I'm just taking a few pictures of the water droplets on these flowers, and then we're going to head over to meet George, who's an incredible automotive photographer. We've made our way up to meet with GF Williams today. Thanks for meeting it with me. So I've got the GFX100 to give him, because what is it that you do?
I am an automotive photographer and I shoot commercials for the car manufacturers.
So he already uses a Hasselblad. Which one do you use?
H5D50, and I also have a Nikon Z7. So yes. I'm very interested to see how this compares to them.
Yeah, so this is for you.
Thank you.
It's got the 32 to 64 on it, 'cause obviously for this sort of shooting, that's perfect. George has brought his car out, and we're going to have a play, see what it can do.
Let's do it. My first thought is how easy it is to use, and I think that really surprised me. I was expecting it to be a lot more difficult. This, to me, I know I'm comparing to my own cameras, but it has the usability of my Nikon Z7 mirrorless. Once you've spent 10-15 minutes with the camera, you're totally used to pretty much all the buttons, and they are pretty simple and easy.
So have you used much of the menu system yet?
I have had a brief look, and it's quite nice and simple. There's no hidden sections in it, which is nice. And it feels like they haven't overcomplicated it, so I can get what I need really quick.
Just to clarify, we asked George to give us an actual honest review of this camera. So we haven't given you anything to say it's really good or anything. We wanted to hear what you really thought. So it's nice to hear that it's a positive first impression.
And it is very positive so far. I'm genuinely surprised how good this is. Fuji may not have the most well-known brand name.
Not in medium format.
But you get a hold of it, it feels proper. It's quite light compared to the Hasselblad, but I think that's actually a good thing. A heavy camera, after a certain point, is too heavy, I think.
Yeah.
This has enough weight to give you stability. Of course, it's got all the stabilisation anyway.
And you're immediately hand holding as well. Right?
Yeah, and I'm not even thinking about shooting on a tripod, which normally I would, but for this kind of thing, we don't need to, so this is ideal.
So the weather's coming in a little bit more now. It's just raining more and more and more. So we're going for a GF Williams flash setup now.
Yeah.
And we're going to try out the GFX100 with that. Okay, so we're back set up to do a little bit of flash work now. So how are you going to work this? What's your process?
So I like to do stitching when I'm doing flash. So
Okay.
I will take several shots,
Yeah.
lighting each different part of the car. The
Yeah.
camera will obviously stay in the same place.
Yeah.
And then that allows us to stitch it together in Photoshop using light and blend in order to light the whole car. Shoot that. And that one. One for the background. Okay, what's nice, the camera's quick enough that I don't have to wait for it.
You don't have to wait, yeah, it's true.
On my Hasselblad, I have to wait for the next shot to process and be ready to actually take it.
Almost like shooting film.
So that speeds it up quite a lot.
Yep. So we finished going around the car now. We're just quickly checking them out on the screen to make sure we've got what we need. What do you think?
I think they look really good. It was a very easy process to use the flash. We were using the B1 Pro Photo with it, and it all just worked perfectly, which is great.
So that's got a Nikon
trigger.
Nikon trigger.
And it all worked fine.
Okay.
In terms of the quality, it looked really good, but I would really like to have a look on the computer.
And we get out of the rain.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've looked at the RAWs now, had a little while playing with it. What do you think?
Overall, absolutely love it. There's two negatives, and I was hunting for negatives. Lack of a leaf shutter, which the Hasselblad has that I would have liked, but it's not the end of the world. And then also, this is quite hard to shoot action shots on, but I think that's a mirrorless thing. Personally, I think you'll learn it, but it's not as good as a DSLR for that.
No.
But then medium format, I've never been able to shoot on for action before.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's got like 5 frames per second, so for a medium format, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, so that's very good. The usability is brilliant. If it's your first time using the camera, say you've rented it, then you can pick it up and you'll be straight on it, to be honest. Give 20 minutes and you know pretty much what every button does, and you're exposing correctly manually, etc. So that's really good.
That's so useful because a lot of people rent, but sometimes when you pick up some medium format, it's so hard to get used to it.
Yeah, and I would say this is the best that I have used in terms of medium format, full stop, for that. Yeah. For sure. So that's very good.
Good.
The quality is very good. The dynamic range is the best I've used, I think. And 100 megapixels is ultimately 100 megapixels. Yeah. And for those that say you may not need it, when you go in on the detail when retouching, that is really useful. So you can get right up there on the texture in a way that you can't with other cameras. Yeah. And that gives your client a better result.
So you like it then?
I love it.
Well, in that case, I'm going to take this away before you steal it. And thank you very much for shooting with us. It's been really good to hear your impression of it, because obviously hearing someone who uses medium format is really useful for us. But now I'm going to shoot something a little bit different with it. So we've brought the GFX100 into the studio now, and we're going to do a bit of a portrait shoot. I've got a Nikon transmitter on this, an EL Skyport with two Elinchron BRX500s, and we've got some video lights as well. Now, the beauty of the GFX100 is it does have eye and face detect autofocus, and it has advances in that so that it should lock onto side profiles and any erratic movement a little bit easier. But I'm not expecting any erratic movement from our lovely model Aisha behind me. So we're going to do some shoots with this. We've got 3.76 million phase detect pixels spread evenly across this sensor. So I'm hoping it will lock on to her eye every single time. So what we're going to test now is the smooth skin effect. Now, it's not an effect that maybe everyone will use because ideally if you're shooting commercially, you're going to be doing pretty much all the edit and post on RAWs anyway. But I'll show you it just because Fuji have mentioned it and it's there. I'm just going to take one picture with the effect off now. This is with the weak. So we'll zoom in there. You can see there's a little bit more smoothing on the face. And then this is with the strong. You can see there's a lot more smoothing on the pores and stuff there. So whilst our model Aisha is getting changed for the next part of our shoot, I would just wanted to talk a little bit more about the camera and our setup. So for the next part of the shoot, I'm leaving the GFX on the tripod. It's nice to do some tripod shooting with it, even though we've got that 5-axis in-body image stabilization. Sometimes it's nice to just put it on a tripod. I'm leaving the 32-64 on it at the moment, but I will change over to the 120 in a minute because that's just such a beautiful lens. And it'll be really nice to see how it picks up the model's skin tones, the eyelashes, that sort of thing. But the color rendition, which is what a lot of people love from Fuji, is fantastic from that Bay Array sensor. It's got the X Processor 4 in there, and it's got no low pass filter, which makes it ultimately incredibly sharp as well, which we know, we've seen that. But from what I can see, having that Bay Array isn't diminishing the quality at all. I'm so impressed with this eye autofocus. It is absolutely bang on every time, even when I'm getting my model to erratically come towards me. Just looking back through the images now, the camera itself has like a pretty good LCD. It's a 2.36 million dot on the back, 3.2 inch, and it's got a 5.76 million dot EVF, which are really nice, perfectly good for checking focus when you're shooting. But just looking at these back on a screen, my God, it's sharp. It's such a good camera. It's about looking at price as well. I mean, RRP at the moment is 10,000 on this body when I'm shooting this video. For a medium format, 100 megapixels, 10,000 is really good. Especially the fact that it's so usable straight away, straight out of the box. It's, you know, you get used to it so quickly. As GF Williams said yesterday, you know, we genuinely handed him that camera on camera. He'd never used it before, and he found it so easy to get to grips with. Little pro features like having the dual SD card slot. You've got dual batteries, which gives you like 800 shots. You can run USB-C in, which I think is here. Yeah, so you can run a USB-C in so you can keep it charged through the camera. You've got the mic and headphone slot. Now, the one thing I haven't covered in this video is video, and that's on purpose because we want to do a proper test shoot with this. So we're going to look to do that in the next few weeks. It does have 4K, 10-bit 420 internal, 30p. It can do 10-bit 4K 422, I think 60p externally out of the HDMI port there. So it has some really, really good movie spec. Also having F-Log involved. All in all, as a usable medium format camera, that's the thing, it's very usable, it's made to be usable. And even enthusiasts, if you've got cash, if I had the money for this, I'd buy it because it's just lovely to use. I've not found something that I don't like about it, other than the fact it's quite big. But I can forgive it that. If you need any more information on this camera, there's loads on the website. I haven't covered everything. I've only had this for a couple of days. So pop onto the website, loads of information on there. You can give us a call, send us an email, pop into any of our stores, or put a comment below and we'll try our best to get back to you with all the information that you need. And hopefully we'll see a little bit more of this in the future. Thanks for watching.